the minority in Parliament is demanding full disclosure over the proposed takeover of AT, formerly AirtelTigo, by Telecel. The group accuses the Minister of Communications and Digitalisation, Samuel George, of sidelining a higher investment offer and engaging in what they describe as a secretive and questionable deal.
As a minority caucus, we have hesitated in making public pronouncements on the issues because the telecommunication industry is a capital-intensive sector, and we fear risking the huge investment of actors in that sector. And we feared risking huge investment of actors in that sector. However, the conduct of the Minister of Communication and his action over the past 6 months, since he resumed office, has put the industry in a jeopardy and has particularly diminished the value of the only wholly Ghanaian-owned telecommunication company, which is AT. The minister runs rampage with pronouncements that has caused chaos in the telecom sector and specifically caused the loss of revenue to AT. In addition to the state of confusion that has thrown the staff and management of AT into, the minister lacks of corporate governance. Manners has not been on notice. So today, we want to address you and inform the people of Ghana development in respect of AT. Ghanaians will recall that in January 2018, 2 private mobile networks operators in Ghana, which is Airtel, and government has 25% in it, and Tigo, merged and consolidate resources to improve operation, reduce operational costs, and create a stronger competition. The merger created the country's second largest mobile network operator, which is AT. However, the inability of the new company, AT, to invest in the much needed infrastructure despite their competitor, which is MTN and Vodafone, now Telecel, invest in 4G. 4G technology was still a source of vulnerability to AT. AT could not achieve the goal of the merger as at their operation became unsustainable. Hence, a decision to close operation in Ghana in February 2020. Even though Airtel had indicated that it will consider consolidation of opportunities, including exits in the market where it's not among the top 2 players. The MPP government, under the leadership of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, acutely aware that the decision of AT and the cessation of operation in Ghana will have caused substantial loss of jobs to many Ghanaians at the time that the global economy was in turmoil, entered negotiation and reached agreement with AT in April 2021. The policy underpinning of the strategic move by government to acquire AT was to protect the job of Ghanaians, protect the competitive balance of the telecom sector, safeguard critical national digital infrastructure, and enhance Ghanaian participating in the sector. The MPP government was also clear that it will source a strategic investor to turn around the operations of acquired operator, which is AT. In October 2021, when the agreement was executed, government paid $1 for the 100% ownership of AT. It must be noted that the current minister, Honorable Sam George, despite this strategic acquisition of 100% shares for $1, he alleged that the then Minister of Communication, Honorable Osla Owusu, paid some 25 million Ghana cedis for the acquisition, which is in what? Dollars. The assets customers, which is about 1.5 million, management responsibilities and liabilities were acquired for only $1. In other words, the government paid $1 to save over 500 direct jobs and interest of over 5 million customers. Ironically, the minister, after 9 months in office, is yet to provide evidence of the $25 million payment he alleged. Instead, he is trying to undo all the job and customers saved with a proposed giving away of AT for no value. For emphasis, we wish to reiterate that the MPP government overarching drive stated as given the multiplying effects of the telecommunications sector has on the economy and the various related industry, the government of Ghana has entered into an agreement to ensure that thousands of Ghanaian jobs are safeguarded. That was relevant then and is still relevant today. Excuse me. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important to note that the MPP government did not just acquire AT without a plan of action to bring it back to competitiveness with other industry operators. As a matter of fact, Honorable Esla Owusu in the mid-2021 announced a plan to recapitalize and modernize AT, focusing on network expansion, digital service, and rural connectivity. There was at least a consensus that such strategic investment was the way forward for AT. This was also the position of the current Minister of Communication, Honorable Sam George. Unfortunately, the government faced the debt restructuring after COVID-19 and liquidity constraints, thereby deferring the planned capitalization of AT. This was necessary because the government expenditure alignment and reprioritization to focus on health and other social spending. Consequently, the MPP government engaged Deloitte Ghana in the late 2022 to exploit private sector capital mobilization for AT. Deloitte led an independent, transparent investor search and advised on strategic partnership options for AT. Through this, Hanan and Partners, Cell Station, and Afritel were respectively the top 3 private companies with the capacity to provide the needed financial and technical support to AT for a complete turnover. Hanan was selected with a proposal to provide $150 million for 85% ownership of AT. This investment was for comprehensive network modernization, launch of 4G service, and a long-term growth strategy for AT. Here again, Honorable Sam George was all over the media warning Hanan with his stolen goods for sale analogy. The unnecessary cacophony coupled with the upcoming election occasioned the withdrawal of Hanan into taking part of that particular bid. Ladies and gentlemen, the issue of AT are not too difficult to apprise. The strategic Ghana mobile network operator needs capital investment to make it competitive. The blueprint for the capital injection was mapped out by the previous government. Honorable Sam George, in opposition, then as a deputy ranking member for Information and Communication Committee, concurred with the blueprint, capital injection at AT. Unfortunately, after one of I want to take back again. Honorable Sam George, in opposition and then as a deputy ranking for information and communication, concurred with the blueprint, capital injection into AT. Fortunately, Africtel, one of the top three, is still interested in investing in AT and providing AT and by extension, the government with the needed capital for operational efficiency and profitability of AT. There is no need to reinvent the wheel. There is, however, a troubling development in the sector which we need to bring to your fore. The current government and Honorable Sam George, since assuming office, have demonstrated oscillating policy stance and has shown the lack of direction and certainty as to what they want to do with AT, despite the clear, unambiguous roadmap. When the minister visited AT on Friday, 2nd May 2025, he promised the staff and management that the era of surviving against the odds was over, and that the government will substantially invest in AT to revitalize its operations, expand the capacity, and unlock the potentials. Later on, 31st May 2025, Honorable Sam George, the minister, announced that government was negotiating with a strategic partner to revamp AT. The outcome of such negotiation was to be shared within 60 days. Therefore, this announcement, the government has signed a memorandum of understanding with Rectton on the 21st of May 2025 for a 60 ownership in favor of Rectton. This was widely published on Rectton website with the approval of government and reported by both Canadian Stock Exchange and the Frankfurt Stock Exchange in Germany, respectively. While the minority hold the view that the announcement by the minister was premature and smack of hypocrisy on the back of his previous grandstand attitude towards parliamentary approvals of international transactions, as he argued in case of Hanan while in opposition. We prioritize the interests of Ghana over partisanship. The minority caucus observed that the announcement and vast circulation of the news of Rectton participation in AT was in line with the blueprints laid down by the previous government. Notwithstanding the lack of fitness and priority with the approach by the minister, we further observed that the news of Rectton participation was met with renewed optimism and sense of relief across the telecom industry, particularly among the AT customers, employees, and management. As a result, we declined to take the posturing of Honorable Sam George whilst he was in opposition. Our consistent position is that AT needs partners with the resources to invest in requisite infrastructure in a rapid changing industry. Ladies and gentlemen, the minority, after all this announcement, ladies and gentlemen, the minister, after all this announcement to staff and signing of MOU with Rectton, made a retreat in a press conference on the 3rd July 2025, when he stated that government had contracted KPMG as a transactional advisor for the deal with Rectton. He further added that KPMG had 28 days left of the 60 days he announced on the 31st of May 2025 to complete this work. The 3rd July conference was without a definiteness of the earlier announcements. The question is, why will the minister announce an engagement when he was not sure? Why will the minister sign an MOU with 60 and 40 structure before his transactional advisor could advise? Why is the minister backtracking? why is the minister not saying anything after the expiration of the 28 days window? The minister's attempt to backtrack from the earlier position was further exposed when on the 1st of August 2025, he was asked about the future of AT as if he only became aware of Office of the Attorney General. He explained that the future of AT depends on the advice and legal opinion of the Attorney General. Why is the Attorney General guidance now being portrayed as a determining factor when key decisions had seemingly already been made on the strategic partnership? This explanation is stark contrast to his earlier position, especially considering that the government had already secured a strategic partner, into brackets Rectton, and appointed KPMG to oversee the transactions, including negotiating a deal. We must put on record that the minister's deference to Attorney General is not a surprise to us. Our impeccable information is that the minister with American Towers Company, which is ATC, met with American Towers, which is ATC, a service provider to AT, and promised to pay them some $5 million by the end of August 2025 of the alleged 1.5 million owned by AT. 1.5 billion owned by AT. Is it Cedis? Yes. 1.5 billion owned by Cedis. I want to take that again. By August 2025, of the alleged 1.5 billion owned by AT, the minister has since failed to honor this promise and now using the Attorney General as a shield. Was the minister not aware of the Attorney General when he made the promise to ATC? Withdrawing some services in line despite desperate attempts to remedy his lack of corporate leadership, Honorable Sam George quickly convened a meeting and directed that AT customers roam on Telecel network starting September 1st. The minister's conduct had led to an estimated loss of 7 million Ghana cedis in revenue to AT in the month of September. Fellow Ghanaians, Honorable Sam George oscillated to a position that AT will be consolidated with Telecel in a merger arrangement. He announced this at a meeting with staff and management of AT in a meeting on the 3rd of September 2025. The minister had announced that KPMG had 28 days left to advise him on the form of Rectton participation in AT. And without any such briefing to Ghanaians, he was announcing a merger with Telecel, a company which has not been able to improve on its own capabilities and also in depth. In this meeting, the minister expressly conveyed an intention to abandon the Rectton deal for a deal with Telecel. He argued that Rectton was only investing $150 million for 5 years, as against a capital of $600 million required to attain competitiveness. I take that place again. He argued that Rectton was only investing $150 million for a 5 years against a capital of $600 million required to attain competitiveness, customer market share of at least 28%. This is a facade of a reason, because Rectton promise of $150 million is for the first year with a planned investment of over $1 billion. In a case of Telecel, is bringing on board absolutely nothing. So why will the minister abandon Rectton for Telecel? ladies and gentlemen, it defies logic and a sound reasoning that the Honorable Minister, who considered a $50 million US network upgrade by Telecel, though the source of funding remains unclear, after the supposed consolidation as sufficient to sustain both companies, you dismiss $150 million initial 1 year investment and up to a total of $1 billion over the next 5 years. Such a position not only lacks consistency, but also raises serious questions about the minister's judgment and underlying motivation behind the decision. The minister also noted on the 3rd September 2025 meeting that was government policy to create a duopoly with the merging of number 2 and number 3 mobile operators to create a competitor against MTN, the number 1 player. While the minority has issues with MTN as the SMP,